Welcome again. This is Nanton Aviation Station, NAS Season 3, Show 1. And today we're going to recap some of the work we've been doing on the Halifax rebuild, get people caught up and kind of go back to first principles and talk to you about what we're doing here, and then get you updated on what we've been doing most recently. Just to go back to tell people what we're actually up to. We've built a little model here that shows the components of a Halifax wing. A Halifax bomber was a 4-engine bomber, and the middle section of the wing, which is about 30 feet long, is what we're working on primarily. And this is the backbone of the Halifax bomber, and we have to start with this before we can move on to other components. More specifically, what we're working on is the main spar, and that's this webbed structure here that runs the full 30 feet from one inner engine to the other inner engine, and upon which is connected the main undercarriage, engine bearers, and engines as well. Now this model is showing kind of a cutaway view of the wing structure. So we've got a front spar, which is what we've got here on the table that we're working on, a rear spar that we'll be working on later on. We have wing ribs, and then skins that finish up the center section of this wing. Later on, there's a leading edge that gets applied and a trailing edge, and of course the fuselage structure, which runs along the middle of the wing itself. That comes later on. But again, just to recap, we're working on this web structure here. So most recently, George, okay, we've built the jig table, we've laid out the top and bottom caps, the new construction, and we've started to put the splice plates and started to bolt things together. So describe to us, you know, some of the difficulties and hurdles we've had to overcome and some of the milestones that we've made most recently.
Well, a lot of the difficulties is actually producing a straight hole. As you can see, these bolts and the thickness of the material, we're talking probably, to 1 3/4 of an inch of metal buildup to bolt this all together. Now, it's a really tedious job trying to jig this, get it straight, level, so that we can drill these holes exactly, because they have to be straight and they have to go through that amount of distance. So it's a challenge, and it's not just the top section. There's a bottom section here. Then also splice plates here, which is even thicker because you've got 4 pieces of build-up that are about 2 inches, and the upper spar cap area is about 1.5 inches thick as well. So, you know, we're talking almost 6 inches by the time you're done that we have to drill a straight hole through.
And we're drilling these holes with a custom-made jig that we developed, and we'll show you later on what that looks like. But it's an old drill press that we've made into a drill jig, and that makes sure that everything's nice and straight.
Correct. As long as these parts are straight, then we get a straight hole.
Exactly. Okay. So how many hours has it taken us to build all these splice plates?
The plates themselves, probably a week. So, you know, between 25 and 30 hours.
Right. And we built those all in-house from material that we sourced. We made templates, and then we transferred the data from the templates onto the metal plates, and then machined them out ourselves, which
yes,
took a while.
They're all custom built and handmade. Okay, I'm just going to give you an example. This again is another splice plate that we have to make. There's 4 of them all in told, and they're all made by hand. There's a lot of cutting, grinding, laying out. It's a very massive task to make all these things. We're not an aircraft company that stamps these parts out like they did in England, so, you know, you have to be very meticulous when you make these so that they fit exactly.
So, George, something else we've had to do is remanufacture some of the more corroded pieces, and here's an example of a thinner splice plates that has got a lot of oxidization on it, so we've had to ditch these and create new build, and there's an example there.
Here's an example. This is what we've had to do. Now this is what ties this vertical member into the upper spar cap. And as you can see by the bolts, that has to be drilled as well and bolted through. And also there are over 6-inch bolts, 4 of them, that go right through the assembly that bolt it together so it has the rigidity to hold everything, because as Scott said, you've got an engine on each end plus the undercarriage, and essentially the whole weight of the aircraft is dependent on this part. So it's, you know, it's very big, very structural. And the parts that you saw outside were, as Scott pointed out, they are these parts, which are on the bottom spar cap. And as you can see, even these, they're totally destroyed, they're bent, they're warped, and they're not usable. But
so aside from all the new build and the new material, the construction, brackets, splice plates, the next step after we get all these parts manufactured and the holes drilled and get everything, as I call it, stitched together, we have to take it all apart and then we have to paint everything.
That's correct.
So we're going to be painting things flat black, and there's some items outside that are flat black, and there's another piece at the other end that we'll get a shot of later on that is flat black as a test, was a test piece. So I think we're moving well now. We've got all the jigs and fixtures we need. We've got the templates we need. We've got the plans we need, and I think we've thought everything through. We're making really good progress, and I think over the next couple of weeks we'll be able to give you some more updates, and I think you're going to see a lot of major changes over the coming couple of weeks, which I'm eager to pass on to you. So at this stage, we're just going to wrap up, and we'd like to thank our Koval Fuels, who's helped us with a lot of mechanical fasteners, Sprung Structures, which helped us with a lot of the aluminum material here, these top and bottom caps, and also Metal Pro here in Ottawa, who have been kind enough to help us out with some aluminum as well. So thanks to all of you, all of the supporters out there. And we are in need of more support. So if you or your friends or your family have any connection with Bomber Command or just aviation nuts at all and would like to support us, please contact 57 Rescue and make a donation. We could really use your help. So thanks, and we'll see you next week. Bye.